Okay, I've been promising on a few of my channels to make a video talking about chaos agents and pointing out at least one of them, whether they're their own little network or if they're part of. I think they may be. I think that the network that the people that I'm investigating might have branches of their network. I'm not sure because there's some similar behaviors. Like, for example, the chaos agents, I think that the people that I'm investigating, first of all, I think that they do worship chaos and inertia, which is, I'll post a video, make sure it's posted to the other channels that explain the difference between genders and what they represent. Males represent chaos and inertia, females represent balance and equilibrium. And I already made a video about that, explaining that and why that is and so on and so forth. Yeah, so this guy, Dr. Shmuel Asher, I call him Dr. SCHMUCK, Dr. SCHMUCKY. He has written a few books. He makes podcasts talking to people, and people actually listen to him. Like, thousands of people listen to him. Let's see how many. 21.9 thousand people are subscribed to Randy Maugans' podcast, and I think he might very likely be in on this as well. I think they give each other legs, they prop each other up. Let's just go ahead and dislike that right there. How many people have seen this? Wow, 8.9 thousand people have watched this video. And at least a good fraction of them are taking this seriously. I'm going to point out, I'm going to use common sense to point out how this dude is a chaos agent. That's what I call them. I call them chaos agents. I think that they worship chaos and inertia. I think that they worship the phallus. I think they worship the male essence. And I think they take it way too freaking far. I think that they seed chaos, basically, wherever they can, and confusion. And I think I'm noticing a pattern where it looks to be like they seem to maybe even almost have a code where they can't do certain things, like they can't lie, or they try very hard to avoid lying outright. At the very least, it looks like they do something very tricky, which the most insidious and clever of psychopaths and sociopaths, narcissistic people do. It's lying by telling the truth. And what I mean by that, and I'll show you the example of it. Well, I'll at least get you started down the path of, I don't think I'm going to play this whole clip from this podcast video, but I'll show you. It starts roughly around 1:29:02. I'm sure there's lots of other inconsistencies in the stuff he said in podcasts, but I don't have time to go digging for all that stuff. Like I said, I've got my plate full with a bunch of suspects. He's one. He's lower down on the list because I caught him later on after several others. I'm trying to take this as they come. So, all right. But I'll give you an example real quick of lying by telling the truth. So let's say that I'm waiting in a parking lot for a friend to show up. And as I'm waiting, I see a cat scurrying around. And a car comes rushing, speeding through the parking lot. He's trying to cut from one street to the other. And he totally runs over the cat and just flattens it dead immediately like a pancake and takes off. And I see the whole thing, okay? Let's say, this is for instance. And let's say I see the whole thing. I know it happened. I know it for a fact. I witnessed it. And then let's say a few minutes later, my friend comes along and shows up, and he didn't see anything that happened, but he sees the dead, flattened cat, and he sees the tire and tread marks over the cat, and he sees, the fresh blood, and maybe even, smells and stuff. Maybe even his other senses are telling him some stuff. And then he turns to me and says, "Dang, did a car just run that cat over?" Now, I know in this case that a car ran that cat over. I witnessed it. But if I were inclined to mess with my friend, I might say to him, yeah, a car ran over the cat. Don't. So in that way, see, I didn't lie. I told the truth there. But the way that I said it, the tone I used, if my friend weren't firm in his observations and his senses and, his own sense of self, he might be inclined to question then if the cat was really run over by a car, or if something else happened, or if he didn't know that I'm the kind of person who might be messing with him, So that's what I mean by lying by telling the truth, all right? It's telling the truth, but in a very misleading way, so it will get people to actually believe the opposite of the truth. So I've noticed that's a clever little trick that they do, and I'll kind of start trying to show you an example with Dr. Shmuel Asher here, and he's talking with Randy Maugans about a lot of stuff, archons and all that craziness. And then flat earth topic comes up. This dude straight up, I swear, he thinks he's the Messiah. He hasn't flat out totally said it, but he has like a following of people, like a cult, basically. They think he's the Messiah, I think. And he's definitely practically said it in a lot of podcasts where he's like, well, people say I might be the next Messiah, but I don't think that. It's like, dude. Anyway, so this guy starts talking about how he's a very, very smart person. He reminds you all the time. I know, I do that too sometimes. Remind you guys I'm very well educated. You might want to listen to me sometimes. But he reminds you pretty regularly throughout podcasts that I've heard, and I haven't even heard all of them, that he's very smart, well-educated dude, and he continues to educate himself, and he took piloting lessons. So whenever anybody asks him about whether or not he thinks the earth is flat, he says, well, I'll tell you this. I took piloting classes, and he has a permit to pilot even the big jumbo jets. He said, I went all the way. I could pilot the big commercial planes and stuff. And he said, I could tell you this, and I'm sort of roughly quoting him, that, if he takes off from a landing pad in a helicopter, he's hovering in the air above the earth, and he knows that the earth is turning at such a rate. And he says it doesn't make any sense that I should be able to bring the helicopter back down on the same landing pad that I launched from. And I'm like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, what? I was barely kind of paying attention and having it play in the background while I was doing other stuff. And that made me do double take when I heard it. I was like, And again, this dude brags about being super freaking smart and super well educated, and he took tons of classes in flying and flight school, and he knows some of the physics of flying and stuff and the basics. Okay, and remember, I'm an art teacher, or I've been an art teacher and an artist and creative consultant and graphic designer and illustrator most of my adult life. I did have I had a slightly better education than the average bear, but mostly it's leaned towards the arts, not so much sciences. But even I remember this from school and didn't even have to completely remember it. I know enough about physics and how the world works that I could even just piece it together. But I double checked the facts too. But I was like, bullshit. Oh my gosh, this guy is Chaos Agent. Because I was already kind of starting to spot this stuff. Some of these inconsistencies in some people online, particularly in this community, the truther community. And for sure, this is why I'm for sure we're being infiltrated by baddies who are pretending to be into all this stuff, and they're really not. They're confusing people. So this guy, again, this very well educated guy who took so many so many classes in flight school and stuff and can fly the big jumbo jets, he's confused about how he's able to take off in a helicopter and hover above the ground and then land back on the same launch pad that he took off from when the earth is turning at a certain rate. And it's biatch, because the atmosphere frickin' turns along with the earth. That's why. And your helicopter's hovering in the atmosphere. The atmosphere for so many miles going up. Oh, sorry, I'm holding the phone up to my face because I'm in a truck stop and I'm trying to talk over the sounds of engines and such. The reason why your helicopter can hover up in the air above the launch pad is because your helicopter is in the atmosphere, and the atmosphere for so many miles going up above the earth and all around the earth, because the earth is globular, it's not flat, dum-dum. Oh my gosh. The atmosphere all around the Earth moves along with the Earth. Now, as you get farther out away from the Earth and that center point of gravity, everything spins faster and faster, actually. It gets slower as you get in closer to the Earth. Okay? So that's why when you get out farther away from the pull of Earth's gravity and you're out in the edges of the atmosphere and stuff, you have all that junk out there spinning around so fast that if it hits you, it's like getting hit by a bullet. That's why. Okay? It's because planets have that center of gravity, that mass that creates that, it triggers the law of attraction, and it creates gravity. It makes it so that stuff gets pulled down towards the center of that planet. That's why we don't take off into the air and fly and asphyxiate when all the oxygen gets sucked out. That's why, all right? So then the farther you get away from that center point of mass and gravity, all right, the less slow everything is. You're less slowed down by it. So it's going to speed up as you get out into like the void of space, okay? So again, the reason why you can fly in an airplane or a helicopter and land down back on the same launching pad that you took off from is because you are moving along with the Earth, maybe a slightly slower than the Earth's surface itself, depending on how high up you are in the atmosphere. But you are moving along in the atmosphere along with the Earth, okay? My goodness. Oh, and he says, so listen to this, and they're very tricky with their wording. That's what you have to pay attention to. They are so tricky with their wording. At one point, he says that he tells his like little followers that he knows this much: the Earth isn't spinning, and he's right. See there, he's telling the truth, but he's lying by telling the truth, and he knows this. He's smart enough to know this, and he's tricky. It's true. The Earth is not spinning, because spinning and rotating are technically two different types of movement. So the Earth is not spinning. It is technically rotating around an axis. Do you understand, guys? He is tricking the shit out of people by using clever wording and lying by omission and misleading. He's lying by telling the truth. And in this way, chaos agents are sort of the opposite of artists. I forget who said this, but I'll say the quote. The quote is that artists tell the truth by lying. And that's because we make, for instances, like what I just did with the dead cat getting run over. We make up stories and stuff, like, J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter. But we relay truths and wisdoms and such through those stories. So that's sort of telling the truth by lying. These people, the chaos agents, who I've been spotting, are like the exact opposite of that. Okay? They lie by telling the truth. Artists tell the truth by lying. So, yeah. All right? It's cray-cray. I've noticed a few of these people out there. It's really creepy and scary. Once you realize, use a little bit of common sense and realize, like, they would know this. They're smart enough to know better than to say this. Why are they saying it? And, they're using tricky language. They're messing with people. These creeps are messing with people. All right, so I'm going to play a bit of this. And hopefully the recording will pick up the sound over the engines. I'm going to turn off the engine, my engine. I have it running for warmth, but turn it off for a few minutes. All right, so listen to this shit. Listen to it. Dr. SCHMUCK, chaos agent.
Who will not do the due diligence to find out where they live, what it's like, what's real about it. They won't look into it. It's that whole flat earth thing, right? As soon as you say that.
Yeah. They're right there. There's the case study and the dialectic going on the internet right now. Another inserted narrative. I mean, we have the wars that are going on, and flat Earth is now a religion. It is a religion of epic proportions on YouTube, and people have defended themselves. They have attacked other people. So you have the ball earthers, the flat earthers, and they're just warring it out right now, despite the simple statement of what Tesla said, that it is a realm, and nobody ever bothers to look at that. So, what we're experiencing right now is another version of just the medieval wars continuing in the 21st century.
Yeah, to some degree, except the difference is that when you really get real with it and you go back, you can only go back roughly 500 years.
Right.
to find anyone in any existence that ever was previous believes that this place was round.
Mm-hmm.
You can only go back 500 years. And 500 years ago,
full of shit. When
that narrative popped up,
that's bullshit.
There was no way to prove it. There was no way to prove it until the 70s if you were able to prove it. And that's when all the lies really started blowing up. You know, and I've had a million people, you know, not a million, but I've had many people, you know, because I didn't even know that flat earth thing was blowing up. To me, it's academic, you know, but they, you know, just about a year ago, I started getting emails. Hey, you know, Dr. Asher, what's your opinion on this? You know, on this whole, because this thing is really getting, it's out there, and you know, there's a lot of people showing these proofs, and they, you know, and boy, it's very compelling, you know. So I started telling people, I said, look, I don't try to prove that the Earth is flat. I don't try to prove that. And they asked, well, what are you talking about? I said, well, here's what I can prove. I can prove it's not spinning.
Mm-hmm.
Others have proved it's not spinning.
Mm-hmm.
And I can prove it's not spinning. And therefore, if it's not spinning, then the other must be true. Period. Because the whole globe idea is 100% based on a spinning globe. Not only a spinning globe, but then later was added, it's not only spinning, but it's traversing through the universe at high speeds, and then not only that, but the other planets are spinning around us, so it's all spinning collectively. It's just big, you know, it's like you got to be the biggest idiot on planet Earth, literally, to believe any of that. You have to be scientifically retarded.
No, you have to be the biggest idiot on Earth to believe you, Dr. SCHMUCK. Ugh. Gross. Now I'm going to play more. Did you hear that shit? Did you hear it? Did you hear it? Chaos Agent. Yes, they exist. There is a group of people out there. I'm telling you, they worship chaos. It's a secret underground network, weird ass cult. And I've been investigating them, and they're creepy as fuck. And he's one of them.
To believe that. You know, me being, you know, years ago, I decided I wanted to learn how to fly. Okay. So, back in the East Coast, in Jersey, I went to flight school, big flight school.
He's from Jersey.
And I got a private pilot's license. I said, you know what, that's good, but I want to, you know, that's just me. I want to go the whole way. So I spent a lot of money and a couple of years, off and on. And I got a instrument-rated commercial multi-engine ticket, all right, my license.
Hear all the bragging.
And I have to say that getting all that within 2 years is harder than any doctoral course over 8 years.
I have to say.
It was a lot of information. The physics, everything you have to learn to become that level of airline transport pilot.
All right, you heard it yourself. He said it himself. The kind of physics you have to learn, everything you have to learn to become that level of an air transport pilot. He said it himself, and he put himself through all that so he could learn how to drive the big rig jumbo jets and all that shit, the commercial ones. So he knows the physics. This is very basic ABC math physics. If an art teacher like me freaking knows it, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? He's freaking, this dude is evil. He's insidious. Look at him. Look at his face, too. Ugh. Freaking.
It's pretty damn vast, and anybody who's a pilot will tell you that's true. It's a lot of information, and you better be very good at consuming and assimilating mass doses of information from various genres quickly to be able to go through a course, what would be called an accelerated course, which is what I did. And I did it accelerated because I was doing many other things, teaching and stuff like that at the time, so I couldn't devote all my time to it or that many years to it. So I just went through that and did that. And it was at that time, never really thinking about any of this too much before that, while landing a larger plane at about 200 miles an hour, that the Earth wasn't spinning.
Oh my gosh! You see right there, it's not spinning.
I remember
it's rotating,
the guy I was with, who was a top ATP pilot, who was checking me out on that particular aircraft. I mentioned that to him when we were taxiing. I said, you ever think about it, that the Earth can't possibly be spinning like they've taught us it is? And he's like, what the heck are you talking about? He was a Norwegian guy, really great guy. And
he probably thought you were freaking insane or messing with him, because he probably also knew all the physics too and was like, is this guy a freaking nut job or is he retardar? Because, like, how could he possibly be at this level of flight school if he doesn't understand that we are hovering in the Earth's atmosphere and we're moving along with the Earth and we're not spinning, we're rotating? Why is he even bringing this shit up? Is probably what that guy was thinking. That poor dude trying to, like, wonder what he's dealing with Dr. SCHMUCK here in the cockpit of the plane.
But, very mainstream, very cut and dry, black and white type. Very, very left, 100%. He had, his whole brain was left. And I
Your whole brain is scrambled eggs, dude. You are crazy.
The Earth is allegedly at this particular place on Earth is spinning about a little over 1,000 miles an hour, right? And he says, yes, about 1,055. Okay.
And it's rotating a little over 1,000 miles an hour.
1,000 miles an hour. I said, so we just landed exactly east to west. So, theoretically, I said, if the Earth was, say, spinning exactly east to west, and we just landed, on runway 180, which means I'm coming from the north to the south, and we're landing exactly north and south, and the runway is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour to my left, and I'm in the air. There's no way in physics that we're ever going to see that runway. Ever.
Yes, there is, because you're hovering in the atmosphere above it.
And he looked at me, he said, are you crazy?
The atmosphere is moving.
What the hell are you talking about? Would you shut the hell up?
Oh, just yeah, I'm going to rewind.
And he just dismissed the whole thing what I said. But I said, me, I can't stop. And I said, what are you talking? Are you an idiot? I said, are you an idiot? What the hell are you talking about? Would you shut the hell up? Just taxi in. Let's just get in. And he just dismissed the whole thing what I said. But I said, me, I can't stop. And I said, what are you talking? Whatever, 1,000 miles an hour. I said, so we just landed exactly east to west. So, theoretically, I said, if the Earth was, say, spinning exactly east to west, and we just landed, on runway 180, which means I'm coming from the north to the south, and we're landing exactly north and south, and the runway is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour to my left, and I'm in the air. There's no way in physics that we're ever going to see that runway. Ever. Much less land on it. It's not going to happen. And he looked at me, he said, are you crazy? What the hell are you talking about? Would you shut the hell up? Just taxi in. Let's just get in. And he just dismissed the whole thing what I said. But I said, me, I...
Yeah. There you go, right there. The dude was like, are you crazy? Shut the hell up. See, because the dude was like, this dude, it's basically, for that other pilot, it was probably like, who knows all the physics and stuff of flying and why they're able to fly and land back down on the same launch pad that they took off from, was probably listening to Dr. Shmuel Asher and going like, is this a kindergartner? What's going on? How did he get to this level of flight school? What the frick is going on? And told him to shut up. Like, are you crazy? That's what I would have been saying too. Like,
can't stop. And I said, what are you talking? Are you an idiot? I said, are you an idiot? I said, we were both very good at math. I said 1,000 miles an hour. What's that? About 20 feet, 20 miles a second? How am I going to land on that runway? I can't land on that runway. It's moving 20 miles in 1 second to my left. How am I going to land on that runway? And he said, shut the hell up. I don't want to hear any more of this. And he just like locked up. And I was like, wow, man, I thought you were a smart guy. And I just kind of dropped it. And our relationship was like kind of broken.
Because you're crazy.
Yeah,
from that point on. And I was like, man, you are like, and it was like an epiphany to me at that time. I was like, what the hell? You know, and I started diving into it. I started looking, you know, and I thought, wow, why would they tell us it's spinning? Where did that come from? You know, that to me, that was like, it almost hurt.
Sometimes people misword it, but
I remember the feeling. I sat around quietly by myself thinking, what, am I nuts? Am I wrong? And I started doing the math, and I started looking at it. I said, there's no way, no matter where you are on this planet, unless you're sitting in a helicopter hovering, waiting for the runway to show up under you, and even that probably wouldn't work at that speed. I said, there's no way, you know, that could be. And then other things started opening up after that. You know, I started, you know, once that opened up, forget it. I started looking at all this other stuff, but I never said it to anybody. So, I mean, for many years, I never brought this up to anybody. I never once talked about this.
Maybe you should talk about it with some physicists.
Everybody is so closed off. I thought, oh my God, they're closed off about the religion I tried to talk to them about. When I hit them with this, they literally almost slip into a coma. You know, and I thought, wow, this is something is really wrong here, much more than even my grandfather, his father, whoever, 22 generations, nobody ever brought any of this up. You know, so I said, there's a problem here, and I started thinking about it, but I just crushed it down. I said, you know what, doesn't matter. But then about a year ago, all these people started asking me, so I told them I don't try to prove that it's flat. I don't try to convince anybody of this or that. I just tell you that it's not spinning. And if it's not spinning, then the other must be true. End of it. See, I always try to break everything down to the absolute 0 point.
You're cray-cray. All right, so I'm not going to play any more of him. Hopefully you guys heard that on the recording. If not, I'll try to figure out another way to get it up there, but I'm still going to, like, upload this. But, yeah, you can go in and look for this video in YouTube and listen to the whole thing if you want to try and pick out some more of his cray-cray nonsense. But there's a perfectly good example, there you go, of lying by telling the truth. When people come to him and ask him, when his followers come to him and ask him what he thinks about the flat earth theory thing, he just says that he knows it's not spinning. So the opposite must be true. This guy is scary, evil, and insidious. And I have to dig more into Mr. Randy Maugans, but, or Mogan, well, I don't know how you pronounce it. I don't give a shit. I have seen some Pink Floyd references, though, on his end in the podcast. But I have to look more, and I just get, like, a sense from him. Ugh. But again, like, they're lower on my list. I have more suspects that are higher on the list because they came first. But can someone pick this one up? Anybody out there want to comb through all the videos, all the podcasts and stuff, maybe even some of the books that Dr. SCHMUCK here, Dr. Shmuel Asher has out there, published and you know, online, and look for all the bullshit he's seeding and help call him out, because we don't need any of this nonsense, people misleading others on purpose, and he definitely is. He's definitely misleading people on purpose. So again, this is what I call a chaos agent. I call them chaos agents. I'm pretty sure what he's doing is aligned with what I've been figuring out, piecing together about this belief system, about these people I'm investigating. They seem to have a belief system with its own special ed concepts and again, its own symbols that reference those concepts. And it seems to be suggesting that they worship chaos and inertia and and they don't much care for any of that equilibrium and balance stuff, and that's females. And so at the core of a lot of this is they do not like women. They really don't. They don't like women. They might use them. They might marry them. Did you know most pedophiles are married with kids? That's true. Look up them statistics. Look up the facts. Most pedophiles are married with kids. That doesn't mean they like particularly like women or attracted to women, unless with the women, like look or act particularly young. Yeah. So this dude, someone help, call him out. Come on, guys. My plate is so full. I've got so much. There's quite a few suspects I've already identified. I have too much to do. Come on, help. You guys got plenty of free time on your hands. You sit around on your asses doing nothing. I see plenty of it. I see a lot of you guys just sitting around wasting your time. All right? Meanwhile, I have more than I can freaking juggle when it comes to all these creepers that are trying to mess up society with their nonsense. Can you guys help keep an eye out? Good looking out. Come on. Especially the dudes. Dudes, you understand, one of your big roles is, provide, protect, and provide, right? Your two responsibilities. And the whole protect thing is, a lot of that, you got guns now and pepper spray and cops, and that's really, security systems. That's really, cutting down on your protection duties. But, yeah, then there's these creeps we got to worry about, okay? Hey, stop playing video games, get off your ass, and do something real. There's real sinister people out there. They're causing real shit, all right? You need to fucking recognize danger when it's out. Look, it's right here. Hello. What are you idiots doing? Come on. This is your job. You're supposed to be protecting the women and the kids in society and all that. And you're not doing it. You're sitting around pretending you're superheroes playing video games. Meanwhile, bastards like this are online misleading people and putting together their own little cult followings, and it's freaking creepy. And thousands of listeners taking him seriously. Maybe a few of us are going he's an idiot. But come on. A good portion of them think he's the freaking Messiah. All right, I'm going to end it before I freaking have a stroke getting angry about this shit. The fact, first of all, these people are out there doing this. And second of all, that most of the rest of you are not paying attention. Because I guess you're more David Saint-Sing minded. And just thinking about, your money. This is why I'm talking about. We can't all just be focused on our money, because then we wouldn't pick up on shit like this crazy fuck out here doing this shit on YouTube and spreading his fucking chaos nonsense. David. Hey, David, again. Hey, you want to maybe rethink your decisions and maybe hey, why don't you donate to the cause? Get piece of shit creeps like this shut down. How about that? You want to maybe rethink spending all your time just thinking about how to make more money? Dum-dum. Stop being a freaking dodo. You're you're completely, totally contributing to the shittiness and downfall of society and the extinction of humankind. It's ridiculous. It's just shameful. Ugh. All right, now I'm going to stop.